Welcome everyone to the grip video. This thing is an absolute monster. It's a beast. So don't look away from your screen or you're going to miss out on some info that you won't find anywhere else. And that's not some stupid YouTube clickbait. This is actually things that I researched extensively and then had to go and find out myself because no one else on Google had the bloody answers. Most YouTube videos for grips are done like this. It's a spray. It gets put into Photoshop. They make a pretty pattern with it. They compare 5 patterns and then they come up with an answer that's wrong. I know because I've been coming up with the wrong answer for a long bloody time. More on that later. What I did instead was take the spray, put it in Photoshop, muck it up by 1000%, and then record that data point, that pixel, and measure it against the next one for every grip twice after I'd already done every AR twice. So we got good data. And it's not like we're just now looking at a pattern and saying that's recoil, because we now have individual data points saying that is recoil compared to the next point, which is recoil. Now, that still isn't going to tell you everything about the grips. Let's talk first and foremost on this crazy journey about the weird stuff on the tooltips, which I've never heard anyone else explain. For instance, the thumb grip says it's plus to vertical recoil management, obvious, plus to aiming speed, obvious, plus to reload stability. What's reload stability, you might ask? Well, you're not alone because the half grip is minus to reload stability. So I Googled, like, what is reload stability on the half grip in Pubg Mobile? And it came up with bright sparks saying things like, the half grip has a penalty to your stability on reload. Please sub up and there's a 600 UC giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. Like, stuff like that, which tells you nothing. So I did my own research and my own legwork and I did some testing and I found that PC actually has the half grip's negative listed as weapon steadiness. And that covers 2 factors, weapon sway and the animation kick. Now, we don't have sway in Pubg Mobile, do we? Now, sway is when the weapon moves just while you're stationary. I went to the cheer park and there was a lot of cool people there and I realized if you zoom right in while you're jogging with any weapon and you zoom in, there's weapon sway. It's moving. And if you're stationary, even though you don't see a lot, the weapon is actually, the reticle is actually swaying. And then we get the animation kick side of this whole equation, which is why the half grip is so crap at DMRs. The distance between the first round, which is down there, and the second round is always really big, and that is the animation kick. So minus to weapon steadiness is a minus to that sway and a minus, well, an increased animation kick. So that's what the half grip does poorly. And this got me to thinking about the way things are used in Pubg Mobile and how little we actually know about a lot of this stuff. So I tested some more things and I came up with some crazy shit. This is recoil roll, and this is something that came up when I was testing the tack stock on the M416, which will be another video. You can quite clearly see that the recoil of the weapon turns left, rolls left, and rolls right. And it does it more with certain weapons and certain attachments. It's generally between 3 and 4 degrees, between 86 at its worst and on the other side of the coin, 93, 94. And what that means is you've actually got a 6 to 8 degree difference on one side to the other at extremes, which is why you probably need a cheek pad on the Mark 14. More on that later. So are you with me? I did a lot of testing. I did a lot of numbers. I ran them and we got good results. It allowed us to make, put forward propositions and ideas based on evidence rather than just pro/noob shit thumbnails on YouTube. Sorry, but this is just something that's been, when I researched this, I got so angry. Anyway, let's keep going. I got a lot of numbers. Now, I didn't just get the average vertical and the average horizontal recoil. I also got the standard deviation on those numbers. Now, standard deviation is really important in this case because standard deviation is about how close your numbers are to that average, which means if you've got a grip that has really good standard deviation, it's consistent. And consistency is everything when managing recoil. Let's start with the thumb grip, the most misunderstood grip in PUBG Mobile. It has negligible horizontal recoil reduction, but it has a healthy 7% vertical recoil reduction. That was the third best amongst all the grips I tested. What's interesting about this is it also has an ADS bonus, aim down sights, of 23%. The funny thing is, though, it is more valuable when you're aiming down sights, and it's considered a close quarters grip. But most people these days in CQC are hip firing, okay? And if you're hip firing an awful lot in CQC, you're getting zero benefit from the ADS speed. And there are other grips that do more in terms of vertical recoil reduction, most notably the vertical grip. So where it really shines is in a DMR like the SKS, because it has reload stability, which we already know is about the animation kick and the sway. It has a benefit to recoil management, as in vertical, and it gives you an ADS bonus on your scope as you zoom in to get shots on people. And that's even more important when you're fighting people with sniper rifles or M416s, or if you're using an M416 to spray, you can get a good ADS bonus out of this. You couple it with a red dot, you get a massive ADS bonus, but it's more of a mid-range thing then. Like you've got an M416 with a red dot and a thumb grip, you get up to a 34% ADS speed bonus, which is really, really good. So I would highly recommend this grip in a DMR. I would also recommend it as a mid-range spray grip, not extreme long ranges, because then you need some horizontal recoil management, which is what you get from the next grip. The angled. The angled is the king or the queen or the Ayatollah of rock and roller of horizontal recoil. Minus 17% horizontal, negligible effect on vertical recoil. No reduction there. I'd suggest it's more about 15%, but we need to do more numbers to get the numbers perfect, and I don't see anyone else getting on the spreadsheets. It also has a 14% ADS speed bonus, which is massive. And when you combine that with a red dot, you get up to, I think it's, hang on, I've got this number. I did it. Red dot plus angled is a 23% complete bonus. It's excellent for recoil spraying because it helps with horizontal recoil, and you can manage vertical recoil very easily. It's horizontal recoil that is a problem. Vertical recoil only goes one direction. Horizontal recoil goes left and right in varying amounts. The other thing about the angled grip, which is so nice, is it is both the #1 in terms of average horizontal recoil reduction and #1 in terms of standard deviation. That means it both gives you the best recoil for horizontal and the most consistent recoil for horizontal. And the reason I'm not saying that is the best grip overall is because everyone's different. My good mate Swiss Cheezel doesn't have troubles, he says, with horizontal recoil. He actually, on his device, struggles with vertical recoil. So he uses a vert grip over everything. And depending on your device, your playstyle, your weapon choice, it's all good. You just have to find what works for you, and that's fine. Let's move onwards and upwards. And we're going to move onwards and upwards with the light grip. And here we're going to have a bit of an argument. And this is one of the reasons I made this video. The light grip is listed as having ++ to reload stability and muzzle climb recovery speed. What we're talking about there is recoil recovery rate and the things we mentioned earlier, the sway, and what was the other thing we talked about? Animation kick. It's got very good animation kick, and it's got excellent recoil recovery. Now, recoil recovery is where you fire the DMR and it goes up to the point at the top of its recoil, and then how quickly it descends back towards the aim point. So the quicker it goes back, the easier it is to single tap accurately. And that's why someone with good recoil recovery using a light grip is going to do very, very well. It doesn't do anything, though, for a spray. It gives it no benefit to horizontal recoil or vertical. It literally does nothing for your spray. And that's why I get baffled when people tell me it is the best grip for spraying. What I think is happening here is that the M416, again, is to blame for everything. I'm just joking, but this is an M4 with no attachment, just shredding someone at 100 meters using a holographic. It's because we are so good now at using sensitivity settings to control recoil. Everyone's sensitivity should be absolutely perfect because there's just no excuse anymore. This is with the M762. Now, if you understand the weapon, you understand that if you just crouch down and you have perfect sensitivity settings, even though it's got the most crazy vertical recoil of any of the ARs, you can hit 2 headshots in a row on a car rolling by at 100 kilometers an hour. Let me give you an even crazier example of this. This is a Mark 14 with an 8X. I've got no vest and I'm getting absolutely shredded, and I smash the guy on an 8X spray. And that's because my sensitivity is really good and I play on an iPad Pro television screen. Just joking. But anyway, so if you're running a half grip and you keep hitting your sprays, it's probably because you're using an M416, in which case, power to you. Hot diggity dog. Let's go on to the next grip. Now, this is the half grip, the grip we talked about earlier. It has excellent 4% horizontal recoil and 9% vertical recoil reduction. I would hazard a guess that those are going to, I think the horizontal will go up slightly and the vertical will drop slightly if we get more data. But you can see what I mean here. It's a bit of an all-rounder of a grip in terms of recoil control. It's going to help you with your hip fire. It's going to help you with your sprays. It doesn't help you at all with long-range spraying. Because of that kick, the poor initial animation kick, it means when you spray with this grip at long range, it's going to go higher on its initial bullet and you're going to have to drag down harder. Now, that doesn't mean you can't do it. Hell, you can do it with an M416 and no grip. So you sure as hell can do it with a half grip if you want to do it that way. I would still go with the angled, but the half grip would be my second best grip in the shootout for spraying. Any questions on that one? I'll be answering them in the comments. And now we have the vertical king, the vertical foregrip. What else needs to be said? 17% vertical recoil control reduction. There's no horizontal recoil reduction on this one. I think the 2.8% there is just noise, a ghost in the machine. There is nothing fancy about this grip. It is the ultimate meat and potatoes grip in PUBG Mobile. It just does one thing and it does it bloody well. I've heard a lot of people say that this is the grip for newer players. I really just think it's the grip for people who struggle with vertical recoil. And it's very different for people who use gyro or use phones or use iPads. They're all going to have different needs in this kind of little subset. You will have to do some work yourself to figure out which one of those you are. But I would say that the vertical grip is especially good on things like, well, a Tommy gun, it's the only one you can use, and the barrel, M762. It's one of those grips that the barrel really does get a hankering for. Finally, the laser sight. It's not really a grip, and it does one thing, which is help with hip fire. It did nothing to enhance my horizontal or vertical recoil. It was just basically a whole bunch of bad in terms of spraying with this grip. It's not something I'd recommend. I don't know if it is that negative. It's plus 4% and plus 3% basically, but it wasn't good. What it does with hip fire is it helps. So I run this on a barrel or a UMP, depending on which one I'm using from a CQC, and it works very, very nicely. Thank you very much. So for spraying, the best grip in conclusion for me would be the angled grip. Horizontal recoil is the absolute holy grail for controlling your weapon. The half grip is versatile, but it is also penalized by the animation kick. I don't know how much to put into the weapon sway. I don't think it does very much at all, to be honest, as a negative. But until we find out more, that's where I'm at with those two for the moment. I think the half grip is a fine choice, and I ran it predominantly for the first half of my PUBG Mobile career until I did some testing with the angled and I came up with my own results. The light grip is the best for single tapping, in my opinion. It beats out the vertical foregrip because it's just not hard to get vertical recoil control, but that animation kick is very, very important, and the recoil recovery is very, very important when you are single tapping, say with an M416 after hitting someone with a sniper rifle. The unsung hero grip for me is the thumb grip. I think you can run the thumb grip on a lot more weapons than it's given credit for. I really do think it's a grip that doesn't get used often enough. And I'm going to start considering that grip on some of my long-range AR style weapons, like a Mark 12 on Livic, or a Scar-L, where it's my spray weapon, my range weapon next to a shotgun. I think it has a lot of potential. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It would do me, a lot of good if you would like the video, or subscribe to the channel, or share the video. These videos take so much effort to make. Like, the reason that a lot of this stuff wasn't already out there in the knowledge base of the universe is because they're hard to do. You have to do a lot of work for them. And I know I probably won't get many views on this, and this is not me whinging and moaning, because I make these videos for the guys and girls who have been coming here for a long time and who love this kind of content. And I know that they will love this kind of content, and that this will be the kind of content that a lot of them have been waiting for. And for you guys, the true humans who've been hanging around with me for a lot and along, thank you very much for supporting the channel and for being here, even when everything hasn't been so sexy and so rosy. There's a lot more coming up. If you have ideas for videos that you'd like to see deep dives on, then hit me up here in the comments, leave a like, leave a suggestion, or just drop by and say hello, and I'll wave back. Until next time, boys and girls, look after yourselves and stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.